I'm going to focus more and more on fast-tracking your empowerment. What does that mean? I'm going to help you in endless ways to break through any fears that hold you back, to change your reality the way you want it to be, not me, to shift into it, and to bypass what we call law of attraction, because we no longer think of ourselves as separate from the very power that creates everything. Now, if you master this, you're going to nail it, and you're going to actually see results immediately. But you got to master this, and that takes some practice. I'm going to show you how to do this. You want to fast track law of attraction? We're going to talk about it, and I'm going to keep working with you until your world transforms, and it's going to blow your mind. You ready? Let's go. Welcome to Landria Onkka on YouTube. Here to help you break through fears and live an amazing life. You know what? We're all different, and we all express ourselves differently. And as a spiritual teacher, I want to give you the many different ways that may resonate with you to change your life. There is no one thing that is right. So if you want to fast track law of attraction and start to create the life you want, stick with me. I'm going to keep working on this until something clicks with you and you understand how to get into that zone. Now, I've talked about you empowering yourself and that every thought manifests. Now, I have people say, oh yes, I know how to manifest, and my response to that is, you're constantly manifesting. Every thought is a directive to the universe. Even if you're not thinking at all, you're connecting to all probabilities without the ego in the way. This is the key to manifesting anything. Now, you guys, in my Manifest Anything video series, I continually introduce the different ways. Today, we're going to go into one that I call the Law of Attraction Fast Track. All right? What does that mean? When you think of law of attraction, you believe there's a law that you attract something that you desire. Well, or that you're actually just thinking about. You may not even desire it. Most of us are thinking about things that we don't want, and you actually attract that too. But I want to fast track you, because if you shift into this way of thinking, you could absolutely get this, control it, master it, and start to see your entire world, your reality shift. And the key word here is shift, not attract. Attract like attracts like, yes, but that isn't a coincidence. You're just on the same frequency. Somebody shifted into your frequency, or you shifted into theirs, or you just were there, and therefore you exist on the same radio station. You're listening to the same station, or you're on the same floor, right, in the mansion. That is not a coincidence. It's not like, oh, I attracted somebody up here. That person or that situation or that thing has to be on that frequency. You can't attract it. It has to shift itself. So if you desire something, let's say, my condo here. I desired this condo. It was taken. It was taken within an hour. So I shifted into a reality where I was actually living here. I saw it, I experienced it, and I let go of the ego dictating how that happens. In other words, I didn't say, you will come to me. I said, you know what? I let it go. I shifted to living in that particular condo. Now, what I allowed the universe to do without me dictating how and when is that if there's something else that came along that was that beautiful or better, then I opened myself up to it, and you have to remove the barriers. Law of attraction is simply the old-fashioned way of saying that I am separate from something else. You are not separate from anything. From anything. Now, I know there's so many of you out there that tell me, I wouldn't attract this, I wouldn't do this, I wouldn't order this, and I have to tell you, yes, you do. Because there's a much bigger, greater meaning that we can't understand. So it's best not to judge that, because the one doesn't make mistakes. So if you're saying this shouldn't happen to me, you're not understanding that you came here for absolutely every experience, and that all those thoughts going on right now are directives. So law of attraction is, okay, I desire something, I'm going to bring it. You're actually disempowering yourself because you believe that there's something you need to do to bring it to you. But if you shift into it, it's already there. Does this make sense? So in other words, you're down here or up here or wherever it is on a different frequency, trying to attract something when if you shift into it, that means you have to believe it, know it, see it. Does this make sense to you? We're fast tracking. That means I'm not going to sit there and say, okay, if I have a vision board and I say mantras, but I'm changing none of my thinking or beliefs, nor my actions. I'm not that person in the situation that I desire. So when I, desire I'll give you 101 examples. I mean, they're ridiculous. They're like 1 in a million shots of me getting certain things, but I see myself in it. I don't question it. There's no barriers. So this is why I teach Breakthrough Fear. You guys, if you come in here, you get a free 1-hour master class, 4 proven steps. What does that mean? There are easy, simple steps, but you can't fake them. You can't say, okay, I see myself as a millionaire. And you're so not feeling it. So the key is, because you can't attract that if you're not believing in it, feeling it. There's nothing to attract. There is you as a millionaire, and when you know it, act it, behave it, see it, don't question it, you're here, and then you are on the journey to it. Otherwise, you're on the journey down here going, where is it, where is it, where is it? I'm still acting like a broke person, right? Same thing with relationships and everything. The same mind that created the problem cannot solve the problem. So I see students all the time, they continue the same behavior. And I said, you haven't changed your behavior. Why would you expect that creation, that reality to shift when you're still tuned into rock and roll or classical music, you name it, pop music, and you're trying to find classical music? All right, so I want classical music, and you keep dialing into rock and roll. Okay, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's that simple. There's nothing to attract. So people think they're going to be down here in rock and roll. I'm going to attract classical music. It can't go anywhere. It is what it is. Everything exists, every probability, every time zone, everything all at once. So when you shift into that, and you know it, and you live it, and you take the steps and the actions to get there, and you cannot question this. You can't question it, because if you question it, you're not really believing it. And so this is the biggest mind shift that we have to do with ourselves, is that, well, how do I quit questioning it? You have to work on it every single day. And so I tell my students, hey, I noticed that you're not doing so well today. What happened? I said, you're not meditating, are you? Are you on the Breakthrough Fear lessons? Are you doing? No. And I said, well, then you are, free will allows you every single day to either be enlightened or go into the dark side. You can actually do that. So it's not like, oh, I'm enlightened, I'm here, don't have to do any work anymore. You go into enlightened state, and if you're not on it, the world will continually challenge you. And so you can shift into, you don't attract something, you have to shift into maybe, not believing in yourself, or maybe, getting too caught up in the material world, where you're shifting down to this that already exists. You're not attracting. I'm awakened state. How did I attract that? You didn't. You had to shift into it somehow. So there was a thought somewhere in here that took you there. Does this make sense? You're shifting, and I'm going to fast track you, because when you let go of this law of attraction thing, you guys can talk about it all you want. The bottom line is you're on the frequency or you're not. There's nothing to attract. You're in it or you're not. And so it all exists, and you as a free will person get to go in and out of these. Isn't this cool? So like a plant, they're in their frequency, and they're in their frequency. There's nothing. They're not going to be the palm tree isn't going to turn into an elephant. It's on that frequency. It's going to stay there and go through its own cycle. We can be happy, unhappy, enlightened, go to the dark side. We could be, corrupt or saints. We can do anything. And so you'll have to make that decision. Every minute is a decision. So if you go in an enlightened state, you have got to work on it, because your challenges are to move past all the other triggers that are going to pull you into that frequency. So things are going to happen on this planet. Here's what I say, you're not attracting anything. You're here participating. You don't have to participate in the things that are on a low frequency. Somebody said, what happens when my family sucks me into these conversations? They asked me. I gave it to them, and they got mad at me. And I said, well, there must have been something going on in that conversation that triggered you. And so you were maybe acting like some authority, or maybe they perceived it because they're already on a lower frequency, right? They perceived it that you were telling them that they were wrong. And so maybe you don't see it that way. Maybe you didn't mean it that way, but that's how the frequencies work, and you're not going to change that. You're not here to change somebody's thinking. They get to raise their frequency, and if they don't come out of that frequency, there's nothing you're going to do to change their mind or the way they behave. But when you go up to a higher frequency, you can behave like a wealthy person, like a healthy person, like a happy person, like an enlightened person, and you shift into it. You're not attracting anything. All right? That's before quantum physics. That phrase was coined before quantum physics, and now we know that everything is a wave or particle. It's actually way beyond that, but we're going to use that. And we know dimensions are endless, and so we can go into any of them, even here in a human body. You can start to experience that now. Are you ready to fast track? How do I do it, Landria? Come sign up here, and I have my mobile app, free mobile app. It's 100% free. My guys out of Canada, people are loving it. It's shifting you. That's the first thing you get. All right, I'm giving you every tool to manifest anything. So you have to use the tools. You have to go into that space. You don't sit there and think about it, it's going to come to me. You have to go and shift in the space. You are in a material world, so you have to play it out. I cannot sit here and act like somebody who's fit and healthy if I'm sitting over here eating Cheetos, not getting off my duff. Everything has to be cohesive. I must act, think, and believe the very way that I would like to create. I'm becoming that. I'm shifting. My reality just changed because now I'm in it. I am in classical music. And then if I want to go to pop or rock and roll, I've got to go into it, and I won't hear the other stuff. There's nothing to attract. There's nothing to bring because it exists. I am the direct creator of my own reality. There's no middleman. You are the essence of God. So you can't make a mistake. And so the one is everything. That means there's no middleman making decisions. There's no man with a beard up in the sky saying, no, no, no. There is nothing but unconditional love. You cannot make a mistake. Everything's an experience, and you are experiencing every aspect of yourself, the one power. And you're doing it as a human being right now, and there are endless probabilities within that. Let's fast track. You ready? I hope that you'll subscribe. Those of you who want to explore internet income, start to live your life, different way. Create a business. Travel the world. If you have a computer, you can do that. But you got to get the skills. You've got to shift into the mindset of successful people, or healthy people, or happy people, or enlightened people. You've got to shift into it. Free videos, check them out. If it's not your thing, don't do it or unsubscribe. This is the time for you to go into that super high empowered manifesting state. Let's fast track you. You ready to go? Let's go. I will see you there. You're whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Namaste.